Maddie here. Thank you for coming back for another week, another book here on my channel. Or if this is your first time, welcome. We're happy to have you here. This week we're talking about What Happened to Goodbye by Sarah Dessen. We love Sarah Dessen in this household. I've read not all, but almost all of her books and would recommend almost all of her books. I've definitely read books of hers that I don't recommend, and I have a video planned for them, why I don't recommend them, or maybe why I recommend them in the specific circumstances. But this year we're talking about What Happened to Goodbye. And before we start ranting, rambling, and raving, that's not a real synopsis. Who is the real McLean? Since her parents' bitter divorce, McLean and her dad, a restaurant consultant, have been on the move 4 towns in 2 years. Estranged from her mother and her mother's new family, McLean has followed her dad in leaving the unhappy past behind, and each new place gives her a chance to try on a new persona, from cheerleader to drama diva. But now, for the first time, McLean discovers a desire to stay in one place and just be herself, whoever that is. Perhaps Dave, the guy next door, can help her find out. Combining Sarah Dessen's trademark graceful writing, great characters, and compelling storytelling, What Happened to Goodbye is irresistible reading. This book, it's wonderful for a myriad of reasons. When I wrote about it 2-ish years ago, we had just moved to San Antonio, and I was feeling a lot of upheaval in my life. Not necessarily bad, but just different. And I just felt so out of depth because, as wonderful as it was, Evan stepped into an entire community of people who had known him since he was little. I stepped into nothing, no friends, no family. I was creating an entirely new community for myself. And it's really cool to see how far we've come since then. Because at the time, we were completely in between. We didn't have a house yet. We both had jobs, but I was in a job that I wasn't in for much longer after that. There was a lot of unknowns in my life. And now that those things are known, it's even just cool to see how much has changed in just the past couple of years. But this book very much at that time represented where I felt I was, not the remaking myself part, but the wanting to be truly myself part. The I'm not who I was, I'm not a high schooler, I'm not a college student, I'm a young married working professional. And what does that look like for me to be in an entirely new town with this label that I haven't had for very long? And just, what did that look like for me? And what was that going to look like for me? Because I just didn't know yet. And so this book was just a great representation of both a holding on to the past and letting it go, and allowing the future to just happen, allowing it to be embraced as opposed to just living through it. So we've come so far, and it all matters, but it also depends the power you give it. Because McLean it says she's remade herself over and over and over and over again, and she is a different person in every single town. Who knows if any of those versions were even at all true to herself. It might have been just completely acting 24/7 the entire time she was there, which sounds exhausting and terrible, by the way. But she gets to this town and decides, for whatever reason, that she just wants to be herself. She wants to be McLean. She wants to be a daughter of divorce. She wants to be a girl who misses the stability of what she had, who misses the opportunity to be herself, warts and all, which means something if you read the book. She wants the opportunity to be herself, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. She wants the chance to be that. And high school is such a time of discovery, especially into college, just who you actually are, what you actually like, the things you care about, the things you're passionate about, the things that you want to spend time, energy, and emotions on. High school is definitely laying that groundwork, and you change a lot. So if you're a high schooler, don't allow yourself to be pigeonholed just because, you like this one thing in high school and that you can never be anything else. No, a good amount of people change their major in college. I was talking to, I think, my mom, and we were talking about, I was like, yeah, you may get a degree in something after you change your major a time or two, and then you don't even actually do a career in that major, because we are allowed to change our minds and change our opinions on things. But also we have to go through the process of discovering what we do and don't like. And McLean, instead of discovering what she did and didn't like, she put herself into a very specific category and said, no, these are the things that I like for now. And I don't think she ever even really discovered whether she liked those things or not. She just was doing them. And part of it is just because she wanted to, which that's fine, but it wasn't at all true to herself. And she realizes that. So she gets to this town and she realizes just all the things she's missing out on. And so she's trying really, really hard to be herself, but she doesn't know what that is or what that looks like or even how to go about doing that. And so it's a book very much of self-discovery and of making active choices to to be true to yourself. Because the world is going to ask a lot of you, and it's also going to ask you, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to say that thing? Are you sure you want to befriend that person? Are you sure you want that to be your hobby? It does a lot of that. Only you get to decide what you care about. The world's going to try really, really, really hard to be like, these are acceptable hobbies. These are acceptable interests. These are acceptable careers. These are acceptable friends, spouse, whatever. But if you are spending your whole life conforming to the world, you'll never truly enjoy your life. I was saying like high school is a huge time of self-discovery because there are a lot of interests that started out in high school that have like totally blossomed as I've gotten older. And some interests I had in high school that just like totally petered out, and that's completely fine. The time of writing, it was a examination of where I was because I was very much in motion. I was in transition. And so it was just kind of examining where I was at in my life. And now, years later, being able to look back and see how far I've come, the community that I've built, the friends that I have now. I've been in my job for 2.5 years now. So I guess I wrote this blog like 3 years ago. I've been in the same job for 2.5 years. Obviously, I'm still married to the same person I was married to when I wrote that blog. But we've been now married for 3 years more than when we wrote that. So like double, we've been married twice as long as when I wrote that blog. And it's been great and wonderful. And I wouldn't change anything about it. Since I wrote that blog, I've started my YouTube channel. I have dived into different volunteering that I hadn't done before. And that's been really awesome. And I've loved that a lot. I've been able to just explore gaming. I had just started gaming a little bit before I wrote that blog, but I hadn't been gaming for long and I was only playing one game, and now I've played 3 games. So like for me, that's a lot. It's kind of just being able to look back on the last 3 years and seeing how I have been true to myself, how I have grown as a person, because you are always growing and developing and learning. And when you stop doing that, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself and the life that you could have. There's a difference between like growing and learning and staying true to yourself. Those are two very different things, because you can stay true to yourself and things that you believe, things that you know are true. And then there are other areas you're like, there's room for growth here. There's room for learning and developing in these areas. And it's kind of being able to discern the difference between those two things. I do want to talk about how the true MVP of the book is Dave. He's awesome, mainly because he does represent stability. He represents kind of acceptance and support. He very much just like comes alongside her and is like, I will be what you need. I will help carry the baggage. I will be here for you, even when you feel like you're not a person like worthy of having a person so steadfastly beside you. And I really love that. He's, like I said, he's really my favorite character of the book because he represents what we all crave and what we all hope and desire for out of life and out of especially our closest relationships. Obviously, kind of spoiler, he's the love interest. And having a spouse that is super stable, not that they need to be like devoid of any fluctuation, because we all are going to be emotional and have opinions and things like that. I have said, and I think it is so true, one of the greatest benefits of marriage is just having a person to come home to every single day. Having someone to talk to about your life every single day. Having a person that loves you even on your worst days. Having a person that's there for you when you can't be there for yourself. A good, solid, stable marriage is that thing. And the amount of stability my marriage has brought to my life is incredible. I've been able to accomplish things that I never, ever would have been able to accomplish on my own. And being on your own is not bad. It's just different. It's for me personally, because I have been such an emotionally volatile person, had lots of feelings. We still have lots of feelings. Having a super stable marriage and having a man I can come home to that loves me, cares for me, and allows me to be me. It has brought so much stability to my life that I'm incredibly grateful for. And I know everybody's different. Everybody's path is different, but craving stability and support isn't a bad thing. Having those things in your life, whether it be friends, family, a spouse, whatever it looks like in your life, I would highly encourage you to develop those friendships, those relationships. I'd encourage you to develop and work on them because they are worth keeping. It allows you to experience so much more in life when you kind of have a stable foundation, when you've got this immovable thing that you can always fall back on. It makes a big difference. I have felt and I have seen. So this is a very ranty, rambly video just to say that life is crazy and life happens and you can't stop life from happening, but you can experience it, you can embrace it, and you can learn to be what the truest version of yourself is in all of those moments. and see where it takes you. I hope this was, I guess, maybe even more helpful than a book recommendation, because it is a great book. Like I said, we love Sarah Dessen. I recommend almost all of her books. This is a very good book. It's a very good book for kind of the in transition when you kind of feel, maybe when you do feel more unstable. This is a good book for that, to show that even high schoolers, who are some of the most emotionally volatile and in transition people, they can find it too, and they can be okay too. And you can be okay too. In the transition, in the instability, gonna be okay. And you're gonna get this. You'll find your solid ground. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really love to know maybe what are some of the things that have brought stability to your life, or even maybe looking back, what are the things that you leaned into that you realized were just like so unhelpful, and you were like, I wasted so much time on this thing. And the kind of funny thing is, in the grand scheme of things, I wouldn't view it as a waste of time, because if it got you to where you are and you're happy with where you are, then like it served its purpose. But that's just my thoughts and feelings on that. Yeah, I'd love for you to comment maybe tidbits about your life and things that you've learned, things that have stuck with you through different seasons of your life. That's all I really have to say. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and you'll come back for the next one. So with all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a great night, great week, great weekend, great month, great year. I hope you have all the greats, because you're truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time, 再见. Bye.